Hello everyone and welcome to the Data for Food 2030 podcast. In this podcast series, we will focus on the project's 9 case studies. These are real-life examples that aim to map and improve the data economy for food systems. In today's episode, we spotlight the case study from farmers to consumers, or for short, PIGLink. For this reason, I'm very happy to welcome Alexia Aubry from the project partner IFIP, the French Institute for Pig and Pork Industry. Alexia is an expert in the field, working as a research engineer on the PIGLink case study, and today we will discuss everything about it. So, Alexia, welcome and thank you very much for joining our podcast today.
Thank you very much to welcome me.
Great. So, to start our discussion, I would like to ask you first of all, if you can briefly outline the PIGLink case study and its main goals.
Yes, thank you. So in a few words, I would say that PIGLink project will promote data interoperability, because PIGLink's main objective is to facilitate data flows between equipment and management tools. In fact, one primary goal of PIGLink is to facilitate data collection for the farmer, avoiding multiple writing of the same data, for example, the weight of the pigs, which is frequently used in farm tools. So, on another side, a PIGLink will facilitate the exchange of data between data providers, and the existing dashboards will be enriched with new indicators, and the advice will be better for the farmer. So, at the end, PIGLink will optimize the farmer's day-to-day management and ensure complete traceability of what happens on the farm in order to meet with consumer expectations.
Thank you very much, Alexia, for introducing the case study PIGLink. I would like to ask you now what sparked the idea of this case study.
Our project is born thanks to several observations. In fact, the first one is a positive observation. It's the fact that with the digital evolutions in pig farming and the arrival of IoT, data collection is on the way to being facilitated, and this also helps the development of numerous decision support tools. But what we see is that there are side effects of all that, such as the problem of multiple recordings of the same data in different equipment. And all this can also lead to confusion with numerous specific dashboards to consult on the farm. And what I can add is the fact that the multiplicity of equipments on each farm, each with its own protocol, makes it impossible to exchange data directly between tools, and the absence of standards limits value adding and benchmarking. So all these elements constitute a real problem in pig production, and it's what gave rise to the idea of PIGLink.
As I understand, you are trying to address some specific challenges, and now I would like to ask you, how are you going to achieve this? Are you using specific activities that are being employed in this case study?
Yes, we can mention 2 main activities. The first one is development of PIGLink interfaces. So it's the architecture of the interfaces of the tool. So there is a data supplier interface where each manufacturer can describe each of his PIGLink compatible equipment with the precision of data domain and API web address. And there is also a breeder interface where the breeder can precise the description of the buildings, the rooms and the pens of his farm, and he can constitute the PIGLink referential of the farm. And then the breeder selects the equipment available on the farm and links them to its buildings, so the traceability of data is guaranteed. And the second main activity after that is the co-construction of proof of concept with the manufacturers, with the stakeholders or partners. In fact, we are working with a group of stakeholders, one for each selected data field, such as feed supply, for example, feed distribution, the weight, the animal identification, or sanitary treatments by dosing pump or connected syringe, etc. And each proof of concept includes a data standardization phase, the management of correlation between manufacturer standards and PIGLink referential, and the development of API, and at the end, the on-farm testing, which is really important to validate all this activity.
You mentioned stakeholders, and I would like to ask you something about that. How will the outcomes of the PIGLink case study further support the food system stakeholders how can they benefit from the PIGLink case study?
Yes, it's a good question, and one of the main benefits we think for stakeholders is the definition of a unique standard to ensure the compatibility with different data providers. And especially when it comes to SMIs, they don't always have the IT team to develop API, even more when it's about multiple APIs. So it's therefore very important for them to have just one standard, one standardized API to manage. And it will give them an easier access to data collected by others. And it's the main benefits for stakeholders.
Thank you very much for your answer. This is one of the main reasons why the case study is employed, to actually help stakeholders and benefit something new from the results of the PIGLink case study. So now I would like to ask you something related to data sharing. How does PIGLink improve data sharing between different farm equipment and management tools, and why is this important for pig farmers?
Yes, thank you again for this question. PIGLink is first of all a data sharing facilitator. We have to precise that. So in the fact that it provides data standards and open APIs for data providers and data users. So it's a way for each data provider to talk to other data providers, depending on the consents of the data providers and of the breeder himself. And PIGLink only stores the farm building referential, and it doesn't store any collected data. So it's important to precise that. And for the farmer, PIGLink optimizes data management on the farm without adding any extra constraints. So it's really important. And what is really important too is that the farmer stays the manager of its own data. He decides if he wants to share his data and with who and for what.
And now that you have outlined how they improve data sharing between different farm equipments and management tools, and the importance of this difference for farmers, I would like to ask you, how does better data management in pig farming contribute to improved animal welfare in general and sustainability, of course, across the agri-food value chain, which is something very important, a very important element of the PIGLink case study?
Yes, it's really important, and it's not easy to answer to this question because it's not a direct effect on welfare and on sustainability. But to illustrate, I can talk about some tools regarding, for example, the coughing of pigs to detect early pathologies. To use these tools, you need to connect to another tool to enter additional data. So a better data management, thanks to interoperability with PIGLink, will facilitate and optimize the use of this sort of tools, and it will improve pathologies detection and, at the end, animal welfare. And another thing to add on this subject is that the quality of the indicators provided to the farmer, thanks to a better data management, will optimize the advice, and it will help the farmers to optimize the efficiency of their animals. Because, for example, a better feed management will increase the gross margin, so all the economic aspects for the farmer on the one hand, and it will reduce emissions on the other one. So we can say that with a better day-to-day management, the farmer can react quickly to any problem, and it will help to improve animal welfare and sustainability at the end.
Thank you very much for your answer. As I can understand, sustainability, interoperability, and data sharing are at the core of this case study. And now I would like to ask you something related to the results that you have seen so far. Have you seen any improvements in farming data connectivity and management since the beginning of the case study? Have you noticed anything that you could share with us?
Not really, because no, I didn't notice anything really, but what I can say maybe on this subject is that during the webinars we organized to present PIGLink, many stakeholders were interested in joining the project, but at the moment they are not all ready to come and to develop what is needed to join PIGLink. And we are now working with a closed cycle of manufacturers, one per data domain, to avoid competition per domain. But once PIGLink will be up and running, we will open it to all interested and ready partners.
Thank you. And how do you envision the PIGLink case study contributing to the future efficiency and sustainability of farming in general? Have you set any goals? Do you have anything in mind regarding that?
Yes, thank you for this really interesting question and perspective. For the future, we plan to extend data traceability and standards management to slaughter data. So this will make it possible, thanks to that, to create a sort of real life book for pigs with all the data concerning them, their treatment, their feed consumption, water consumption, etc. And this life book could be linked, for example, to a pack of slices of ham, for example, and to inform the consumer. But to do that, some challenges remain. Many suppliers still today, do not have a cloud to store their data, so it's a barrier to data management. Another problem is the connectivity on farms, which limits sometimes the access to IoT, but we are sure that in the future these issues should resolve themselves over time, and it won't be barriers anymore in a few time. We can say that PIGLink contributes to sustainability because it doesn't challenge current data management. I have to precise that each supplier remains the manager of the data, while the farmer remains the owner of the data. And PIGLink simply provides a gateway to facilitate the exchanges. So it will. It's important to precise that. And just to finish, I can add that there is no viable economic model based on standards, but what is interesting is that the standards made available thanks to this project, thanks to PIGLink, can be used by all the players for the benefits of all, and even apart from PIGLink. So it's useful for every partner.
Thank you very much. And also, of course, the data ownership is a very important aspect, as you mentioned. And as I can understand, the ultimate goal is for the consumer to benefit something from this whole data exchange. So the case study from farmers to consumers, or else PIGLink, does exactly what its title says. It takes everything from the farmer, the data, and gives it directly to the consumer, giving also the data ownership, which is of very high importance, especially for the Data for Food 2030 project. Thank you very much, Alexia. And now one last question before we finish our discussion for today. I would like us to relate a little bit more PIGLink's, the PIGLink project, the PIGLink case study, with Data for Food 2030. I would like to ask you now, how do you see the PIGLink case study contribute to the overall goals of the project Data for Food 2030?
Yes, in fact, I can say that PIGLink really contributes to the objectives of Data for Food 2030 because, first of all, its main key result is the creation of and the availability of a data space, which is on the core of Data for Food 2030. And PIGLink will deal with an open normative framework fed with standards, and they will be published for free in order to achieve interoperability. So PIGLink is one solution of data space among other solutions, which is its own barriers and challenges. And we are sure that it will fit the objectives of Data for Food 2030 and its needs of understanding of data economy in food system.
And as you mentioned, data spaces that are also very important for the PIGLink case study are also at the core of the Data for Food 2030 project. And thank you very much for your overall contribution to the project. I would like to mention that PIGLink also, as I mentioned earlier, serves as a real-life example of mapping and improving the data economy for food system, and this is why it is so important for us at Data for Food 2030 to have this case study and showcase its results, activities, goals and everything. So thank you very much for sharing all your insights with us today, and thank you of course for participating in our podcast.
Thank you very much.
And as for you, dear viewers and listeners, thank you very much for watching this episode. Don't forget to stay tuned for all the next episodes.